Ronnie Harrison, what have you seen out of him so far?
It's good. I mean, I like what I see so far. We're not in pads. I think that's a big part of his game, from what you saw in college, being able to, to tackle well in space. I think the thing that, we're impressed with is that, coming from the school that Alabama that he came from, and I think with Coach Saban, his background being a defensive back coach, I don't think there's anything really you can throw at, and not just Ronnie. I think any of those defensive backs, that play at Alabama, there's not really anything you can throw at them coverage-wise and scheme-wise and even technique-wise that maybe they haven't seen before. So I think he'd probably be better, to ask that question too. But that's what we see. It's just matter of fact, and does a good job and studies and smart, is really picking things up. So, that's exciting. And now we're looking for the transfer. Obviously we have work, more work to do, but we're looking for that transfer to when, the pads come on and we get on the field.
What do you like about what you have at running back beyond Leonard, TJ, and Corey Graham, the rest of those guys there?
Just same type of mix. You want, we got, Tim Cook's back there, Brandon Wiles, Tim's a big guy. I like, I tend to like, the bigger running backs. That's just me personally and a philosophy. But I know there's value for, a guy like Corey that could come in there and change the game and make some plays. And I think TJ, gives you the best of both worlds a little bit. I think he's looked good out there. He made yesterday he made an excellent cut. He set up a free hitter, a safety that was in the box, set him up and then scooted inside. So again, that's the kind of things you're looking to see now. So, I like where we are, as far as the backs and how they've been working.
If he needed to, could carry 15 or 20 times for a game or 2 or 3.
Who's that?
TJ, if he needed to step
TJ?
in. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think he's done that before. For us, I wouldn't have a problem doing that.
Thing that Tevin was in here talking yesterday that all the linebackers still say, hey, what would Puz do here? Is that a good thing that they think that way because of what Puz was and how smart he was?
Yeah, I think it's good because I think the players, many of the players that are here saw him and how he went about his business. So, I think that's always good, and hopefully, Puz will be able to come around. I know he has a lot of things on his plate, that he wants to get done, but I think anytime you have a player that's done it for so long and has done it really well, and when he's around the team or around players, especially the younger players, they can look and see by example, how to do things in the NFL. Because I think it's important. Everybody comes in, I think, their first year, and they're just trying to find their way, in the field. It's different than college, where you go, you wake up and you go to class in some schools, or you go practice, and then you have a bunch of things going on with study hall and things like that, where now you could spend a lot of that time at your craft, and then how do you manage that free time, especially this time of year, for those players.
Do you find yourself noticing that he's not out there, not just because 51 is not out there, but when you're watching plays and stuff and you think, oh, Puz would have been here, Puz would have made that play, or
like that? I mean, if I thought of it like that, probably. But Mike, I'm looking at hey, this opportunity for these other players, these young players out there, and watching them. I think that a couple of those guys. I think from last year. I thought Donald Payne, and Brooks Ellis and Deion King, and I thought those guys seemed like they're moving better than they did last year. So that's a good sign. So I'm looking more towards that and those evaluations of their movement skills and their knowledge of what we're trying to get accomplished system-wise.
What are you seeing so far at the nickel position
for this team?
Yeah.
I think what I see, and I tell the team, I see us as I still talk about laying this foundation. Just taking. We talked to the players the other day about hey, listen, these bricks that you lay early in this foundation, we got to lay them perfectly and right. Where they can't crack or splinter, because if they do in this foundation, then as soon as we try to start going up, it's all going to collapse. So, for me, the message has always been, let's lay this foundation, and we're doing that, and it takes a while. It's not something that's going to say, okay, hey, day one we laid the foundation, let's move. So we're doing that. We'll still continue to do that all the way until we get to, in training camp. And then, we'll start with that foundation again, and we'll start building it up and try to build it up and go into the season, with us trying to build upon the hard work that we put in. But I think at the end of the day, when, I look at it, I tell the players, make no mistake about it, we have a lot of work in front of us to be where we want to be as a football team.
Does Patman have the skill set to play there? Tyler Patman?
Nickel or corner?
Nickel, just nickel.
Yeah.
You like him there?
There's no doubt.
Just overall, what have you seen?
I've seen him playing better. I really have. I think, he's done a nice job. I've seen him improve. I've seen him improve in really, we always felt very comfortable with him playing in a nickel position, but I've seen him improve playing outside now at corner. He's been able to do some things that showed up on tape on the outside, and I think he's been much better on special teams. And I think, we've put a big emphasis on that, whether you're a starter or whether you're, a backup player, we want to make sure that that's, one phase of our team that we feel we have players out there that are winning players in that phase, not just players that you just kind of plug it in, to get by. We want to be able to, do a heck of a job with field position.
What have you learned about Dante Moncrief so far?
Quiet. That's right. I try to talk to him, and he's made plays out there. It seems like he's out there, so his availability is outstanding. Coachability, he's really taking it all in. His want to get out there on special teams is showing up, which I think is always important. And I think it's a big year for him. I think not to speak for him, but just trying to make sure he's comfortable with everything, because it's going to be interesting to see when the pads come on. About how, hey, is this player going to go in there? The one thing I always look at receivers that I can't really tell this time of year, if I haven't been with them or haven't seen it from years past, is, hey, listen, when we run it, are they going to go in there and block, and do the type of things that we're looking to? And I'm not saying that, Dante doesn't have that ability. It's just one of those things that we're looking forward to seeing.
In the passing game, is he getting to his spots?
Yeah, there's no problem there. It's, I think he has a very good skill level. We've seen that, and I think he's very comfortable with the system. It seems that way. He's a smart kid. He plays multiple positions, so that helps us.
What have you seen from Kessler and Lee so far, and what can they get done the next couple of weeks?
Again, I think Cody's working through some things, trying to, to create some better habits or break some bad habits, So he's working on that, and he's putting a lot of time in. Tanner's also putting a lot of time in too, of a guy that has to go out there and throw. And I think it's, for them, it's tougher because they have the whole plate, and, we're doing a lot of things and trying to progress the team, where, we don't want to slow things down, for them, because we have Blake going pretty good. And, those guys are working hard to try to catch up. And as, the installation goes in there, it just gets more on your plate, more on your plate, more on your plate, more on your plate. So, but I see both those quarterbacks putting in a lot of time, to make sure they have understanding of what to do and really, really doing a good job of really learning it. In other words, they want to learn, they're eager to learn, they want to do things well, they want to do it the right way. And, so that's promising.
During this phase, during this phase of the off-season program, when you have a guy making plays on the third string like C.J. Rivas with the two pays, how much does that change your perspective on them heading into training camp, like maybe moving them up?
Listen, I think all this moving up and where guys go and this depth chart thing, I mean, I get it. You have to do it because I look at it as something that you have to do to plan practice. And who's going to take these reps, who's going to do this. But I've never had an issue with if someone's not doing well or someone has a poor day, move someone back and move somebody up and give someone that opportunity. I think it's something that, if you're taking reps with the first group, you have to understand that you're earning that on a daily basis. If you falter and there's someone else that's playing well, we'll throw him in there and see how he does. And if he does better, then that's what happens. That's how people, win jobs. And that's just how I look at it right now until I get to, about that third game of the preseason. We got to start really, knowing who's going to be here and who's not.
He was in here the other day talking, he's motivated by what he says is a lack of respect, and Unique is sort of the same way type of thing. Are those guys exceptionally easy to motivate when that is what really kind of gets them going? And do you go at it with them on that to try and get them going?
I think each player, the challenge as a coach is each player is motivated differently. You know, some people say, well, gosh, that guy's a heck of a player. I don't understand why he feels that way. But if that's the way he feels, to get him to, work hard, whatever the motivation is, then I'm fine with that, And, will I be someone to play on top of that? I know part of my job is motivation. I've been around coaches before that don't think you have to motivate players because, we're professional football players that get paid. I tend not to believe in that. I try to, make sure I go in there and do a good job. And that's where, you can't motivate someone unless you know them, and you can't motivate someone unless they trust you. So those are the things like right now during training camp that when the players are around, that's what my challenge is as a coach is, to really, get some one-on-one time, see, how they feel, what they're doing, and then try to get into, what may be things that I can help them with and getting them going and motivating them at times when they're going to need it and during times of adversity.
Lorente McCray was pretty good for you guys in special teams last year.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right? What sort of allows him to flourish in that area?
I think people all have the ability to flourish in that area. I think it's a matter of how some people view themselves. Me personally, and I'm just going over not Lorente, and I'm not talking about this team. I'm just talking about my experience, in this league. Some people come in there and they say, okay, hey, I'm a special teams ace, and this is what I'm going to do, and this is how I'm going to make the team, and they tend to fall off maybe on the other side. There's other players, on the other side to say, wait a minute, now I'm a starter. I'm not a special teams player. And I think, when you start going down those two roads, that's not where you want to go. That's not a good formula for a good football team. I think that, I know a story a long time ago. Someone told me whether it's true or not. I don't know, but they said, they were on kickoff and it was the Giants, and a guy had returned one, and they just took the lead, and it was like one of the last kickoffs of the game, and Lawrence Taylor said, hey, listen, I'm going in there. He's never done. I'm going to go play R3, go in there and play. I'm going to go down and make this tackle. And sure enough, he went down there and made the tackle. In New Orleans Saints, Sam Mills, the great linebacker there, he's probably one of the best special teams players, on that football team, who was a starter, played every down. And I think when you have veteran players and you have some starters that go out there and take reps and take a lot of pride, and being on the field and doing that, which all those players do, I think that helps the whole team. Then everyone understands it. And I think, obviously there's a lot of support on that because, I have my philosophy is I back the special teams. Like I'm always telling Joe, the whole roster's open. I don't, whatever we have to do to win, whatever we have to do to play, let's go in there and put them in there, and I think the players now understand that, we want to win as a football team, we have to do that. We've not had any issues, with any of the players going, wait a minute, I'm not doing this and I'm not doing that. All the players are actually the opposite. Hey, you need me to do something, I'll do it. So from that standpoint, we have a pretty good thing going.
Communication with Leonard Fournette.
Yeah, he had personal things that he's taking care of. Jalen, it will be a mandatory minicamp. He's training with his dad. All right, appreciate it.